who is the beast and Antichrist. We have heard a lot of different stories about this, and fortunately or unfortunately, I would say, we have had things taught to us by dispensationalism, which bears to be reckoned with, because these things have many contradictions in it. We have been taught that the Antichrist, or the beast, the man who represents the beast, makes a covenant with Israel, a 7-year covenant, which is broken in the middle of it by stopping the resumed sacrifice in the temple. Never mind that Israel was forbidden to make any covenant in the land when they entered the land. There's one covenant maker that is near to Israel. He is God. So the only covenant maker is Christ, and that's what the book of Daniel is revealing, and not some other covenant maker. So in order for us to understand who the beast is, we need to have the correct understanding, interpretation of Daniel. Daniel 9, Daniel 2, Daniel 7, Daniel 8. We need to understand the book of Daniel and how it relates to Revelation. And that's what we are going to be exploring in this series. We're going to help you to be able to interpret the Bible from a biblical perspective, which is to say, we are going to let the Bible interpret itself. We are going to compare scripture to scripture. And we're not going to bring in any private interpretation based on what men imagine. We're only going to let the scripture speak for what the interpretation should be by what the scripture reveals by comparing scripture. So the beast and Antichrist is a governor and a man, but he is not the covenant maker. Who is this man, and what is his government, or what we are going to be discussing in this series? So subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss this. So we are going to be looking at Daniel as one of our core scripture. And as we go in this series, and we go further in this series, we're going to show how various books, chapters, and verses in Daniel relate to Revelation. Let's take a look at Daniel 9, I believe 9:27, that's related to the, as we say, as it's been interpreted as the Antichrist, who is the beast, are connected to the beast. Now, what we have to also understand as it relates to the beast is that, what's the way, I lost my train of thought a little. That when it comes to Daniel, speaking about the beast, he's speaking about Antichrist in 9, which has been interpreted as Antichrist 9, Daniel 9:27. Let's just read it, so I can I done lost my train of thought a little, so we're going to read it to you, and that's just, and show you how this is related. I'm going to enlarge the font a little bit because you don't see quite as well these days. So, let's see. Let's get this font a little larger. Okay. Yeah, now I can read it. I couldn't read it first because you get a little age behind your name, behind you rather. Yeah. It's kind of hard to focus on this print. Anyway, I'm going to read from Daniel 9:27, and it says, and he shall make a firm covenant. I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say that when you read scripture, many people focus on learning the Greek and Hebrew, and I say, there might be some merit to that, but to me, it's irrelevant. I'm gonna tell you the reason why I think it's irrelevant. Because in many of the translations, if not most, folks, uh, Greek and Hebrew experts translated them. And guess what, folks? They all translated them a little differently. Maybe with using different words, and then interpreted the words of the original Greek and Hebrew a little different. So why waste our time trying to be Greek and Hebrew experts? To me, I would say the simpler route, folks, is simply to go and read the various translations and compare them and see where they are consistent. That's, that will give you a greater contextual understanding to what the text means. Rather than you straining at the meaning of one Greek word, looking at the definition and your understanding of the word or how it should be applied is different from another Greek scholar. So it's context which gives us the meaning, folks. So all this thing about Greek people, in my opinion, uh, it's it's useless in that sense. Because the reason why I say it's useless, because somebody know how to. Do you think for 1 minute, because somebody know how to? Everybody that speak Greek will understand the scripture. Everybody that speak Hebrew understand the scripture. But the Pharisees, they knew Hebrew. Did they understand what Christ was saying? What about those in Greek today? I don't know if people. I'm thinking that people still speak Greek. Do you think everybody speak Greek understands the scriptures? So that tells you right then, folks. That is a pointless pursuit. You have to understand the scriptures in context, as scripture compares to scripture. That is the key, folks. So the Greek can have some merit, but the Greek and a Hebrew scholar is merely a Greek and a Hebrew scholar. He's not a biblical. That doesn't give him biblical knowledge of biblical authority. It's just like saying uh, somebody who can speak English, and let's assume that that most of the American scientists made the space shuttle. They wrote the textbook in English. It's just like saying everybody can understand how to build a space shuttle because they know how to speak English. It's stupid. I mean, so folks, these people with screaming at the Greek, I won't go down that road. It's meaningless, folks. Context, compare the various translations. That's what I have done. Now I found that in NASB and the ASB, a pretty good translation when comparing when reading Daniel, because I found that certain translation translate certain portions of the text better. Now, somebody might say this is picking and choosing, but what we're looking for is homogeneity. I'm sorry, in the text, the way that there's a consistent flow, a consistent theme, a consistent message in the translation. And where there's inconsistent, we compare other translations to see whether how to get more clarity and get a better consensus to what the text actually is communicating. That's what I mean, folks. That's context. So that's first. That's what I was trying to remember what I was going to say. That's what I meant to tell you. So don't you go screaming at the Greek folks. These are a bunch theologians and seminaries. I guess they promote these things because it gives them, in my opinion, prestige or whatever. But it's useless. Unless it's not totally useless, but it can be used as something to what you call it when you it can be something that maybe can give you. I mean, it's something that it's a tool. That's what I'm trying to say. It's just a tool. And it's not a tool that will give you the understanding, but if that's the way you want to go, it's a tool that might be able to help some people, but it's not an essential tool. If it was, then only people who know Greek and Hebrew should teach, which is some people imply, which is stupid. As I said before, the Pharisees, they knew Hebrew, I would assume, and Greek, because it was in the time of Jesus, but yet they did not understand the words of Jesus or the apostles. They ain't got nothing to do with it. So get off that bandwagon. It's stupid. Now, here we go. He said, Daniel 9:27, and he shall make a firm covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. And upon the wing of abomination shall come one that maketh desolate, and even unto the full end, and that determined shall wrath be poured out upon the desolate. So you see, I think I like the way ASB, NASB translate this, because you can see clearly that there's a distinction between the one who makes the covenant and that's one who follows the making of the covenant, folks. And he's the one that makes the difference. They're not the same person, and that's what that era of dispensationalism has been teaching. That it's one man making the covenant and also breaking the covenant. It's stupid, but anyway, no, the covenant maker is one person. One, and as I said earlier, it's only one covenant maker in Israel, folks. It's near Israel, folks. And that is Christ, folks. That's God. He's the only covenant maker. And I'm going to give you this so you'll know that the covenant maker is Christ, and he made the covenant. It's called the New Covenant, folks, the New Testament. And it was made first with the Jew. When he came the first 3.5 years of his ministry, he said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. That's the Jew first. Then when he got up from the grave, folks, guess what he said, folks? He said, go into all nations, teaching them wherever just look at it. He said, wherever I've taught you, I am paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact words. And then 3.5 years later, we see that the Apostle Paul was called as the apostle to the Gentiles. So it was a 7-year covenant made first with the Jews, 3.5 years, and then as he got up from the grave, he said the first he was only sent to the lost sheep of Israel. That means the first 3.5 years was devoted to them. Then the second 3.5 years, he sent people out, and then 3.5 years later, you can see, check your history. Apostle Paul was confirmed as the apostle to the Gentiles. Folks. This is it. So that is the covenant, folks. It's an everlasting covenant, not a 7-year covenant. It's an everlasting covenant made in the last week of Daniel, and the one who ended sacrificing offering, folks, was Christ. In the middle of the week when he died on the cross, that did it. No more bulls and goats, sheep, or whatever can be sacrificed, folks. That's the end of sacrificing offering. That's what it means that he should put it in the middle of the week. It was Christ that did that. So it's stupid. This stuff they're talking about some Antichrist and some sacrifice being resumed in a rebuilt temple. It's an absolute lie. It's a lie. It's not true. The temple that we have now is Christ, folks. And he stopped sacrificing offering by his blood on the cross. There ain't no, as the Hebrew writer says, there's no more sacrifice for sin, folks. Christ is the last one, the last sacrifice. So he stops it. And he confirmed the covenant with the Jew first, 3.5 weeks, and then in the next 2.5 weeks, the covenant was also sent out to the Gentiles. He said, go into all nations. That's what who's the covenant. Now, the one that follows, folks, follows where it says on a wing. He follows after the 7 weeks. That he had nothing to do with the 7 weeks. The 70 weeks of Daniel are totally about the Messiah. They tell us what leads up to him, and the work that he finishes, folks. What that he does. That's what the 70 is about. It's about the what leads to what the events that leads to this Messiah and his work. It's not about anybody else, folks. It's a messianic prophecy. So that's how we know who the beast is. And I'm going to be explaining that to you. I'm going to know who the Antichrist is, folks. And there are many Antichrists, but the one who fulfills um, the prophecy, the literal refers to the prophecy, he has already been. I'm going to show you who he is and why he has already been, folks. Now, we do have Antichrist today, but these just merely people who are, like John said, there are many Antichrists. But that the one that fulfilled that prophecy is already done for, because the power, the government, which established him, is already been. I'm going to show you that. So, subscribe to the channel. And you don't want to miss this. You want to get away from all these fairy tales. God bless you. And subscribe and turn on notifications, as I said before. God bless you. So, D. Smith. I'm going to be, that's the name of my channel is Let My People Go. Now, I do have another channel, it's the Mystery of the Kingdom, which, but another, I won't call it. Yeah, I'm starting another channel called Mystery of the Kingdom. But please subscribe and look for the next video in this series. God bless you.